Welcome to Chin Music, a baseball podcast. This is episode 9. I'm Andrew Menson, joined here by Andrew Lucuski and Chris Talt. And if you can't tell by our backgrounds, this is the Cancun edition of the Chin Music. We got our Modelos here. We got our Jose Cuervos here. We're ready to roll. We're ready to party. Everyone is having not such a good time, but at least we're here, right? So before I want to get into it, I guess I should pass the mic to my great friend Andrew Lucuski, who's living it down in Cancun. So how are we feeling right now?
Loving the sun, not so much loving the baseball team that I've been supporting for the past 20 to 22 years now in a few days. Um, I'm slightly disappointed, although it's probably better that we didn't do this like the day after the game because I would have just been it's given me some time to get some thoughts together a little bit now rather than just screaming incoherent things about who I want to be fired and cut and sent off into the sun in the Elon Musk rocket ship. I can at least talk about the team in a little bit more coherent way. Um, Now it's less entertaining, although I feel like it's a better product to put out there for our you know 14 viewers. I'm gonna start with I don't know where to start. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna start with a list of people that I want gone from this team as soon as the end of the World Series ends, whenever that might be. Um, so I think I have not been quiet in my hatred for Nicholas Castellanos. I never want to see that man in pinstripes ever again. And I honestly, quite frankly, don't care that he produced like the final 3 runs of the series for the Phillies. I don't want to see him in Philadelphia ever again. Stott needs to be traded. Marsh needs to be traded. Kepler can walk. Most of the bullpen can walk. Ranger can walk. All of them gone. I don't want to see them anymore. Um, JT, I want to come back. Bader, you too. Uh, I would like all three of us to discuss Kyle Schwarber because I think my fellow co-host has not been quiet in his pleading for Kyle Schwarber to be in Queens. So we can talk a little bit about that, I think. Um, I don't know. I've this clean house, Dombo. That's my
Do we want Dombo?
yeah, yes. I think so for another year. Um, because the problem is, and I, you know, I find it hard that I'm defending, managers and executives, but it's really hard to it's really hard to pinpoint a team that has the third or fourth highest payroll in baseball with some of the premier talent in the league and blame the executives in the front office and the manager in the in the coaching chair because the team did win more games than they did last year and the year before that and the year before that. They put a good product on the field, and I blame nobody but the $750 million top three in the lineup that were, I have all of their stats. Trey Turner in the playoffs went 4 for 17, so he had 235, and he was by far not even close to being the worst one on the team. Kyle Schwarber went 3 for 16. Bryce Harper went 3 for 15. Nick Castellanos went 2 for 15. That's four guys right there that combined are making contracts are worth $800 million, and they got four, seven, a combined 12 hits in um like what which like 38 innings of baseball from the extra innings now too. Is that what we're talking about? Something like that. That's terrible. That is just abs. And you know what? Most of those hits came in one game. So if we're going to take out the game three that gave me a little bit of hope, the guy's got like 5 hits. Um, that was it was both it was both one of the poorest team performances I've seen, and also the the biggest the biggest difference between a strength and a weakness. The pitching performance from the Phillies throughout the 4 games have was seemingly widely regarded, and I don't put a lot of stock in things that WIP and people like that say. but is widely regarded as one of the better pitching performances since the four aces. They kept some of the best hitters on the planet on their toes. I think Shohei Ohtani went what, like 2 for 19 or one for 19 for the entire series, and the dude's going to win the MVP again this year. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, besides his 3-run home run, was fairly useless for the Dodgers. Um, and in the last game of the series, in I forget if it ended in 11 or 12 innings. I think it was 11. They kept the Dodgers to 2 runs, and to watch the pitching be capable of shutting down the highest payroll in baseball with the again presumptive MVP of the National League, and he drives me up a wall. He's probably the MVP of baseball too, and watch him just get embarrassed for 4 games by Phillies pitching staff, and for them to lose the series that I don't feel like the Dodgers earned, with the exception of some of their pitching, is incredibly frustrating because and and I don't need to talk about the Kirkering play a lot because that pissed me off to no end. Um, and I think he's going to get traded purely because I don't know how you come back from something like that in your city. Like I think he just needs a fresh start. But to have that be the way that like that's a perfect way for this series to end because honestly, I think both teams hit like crap this series, and the Dodgers just hit a little bit less crappy than the Phillies. Um, and
Yeah,
so just
like it's crazy to me how I think this matchup, when we were analyzing the playoff bracket prior to the playoffs, and we kind of circled this little area in red, and we said, this is going to be one matchup for the ages. Because going into it, you can anticipate the Dodgers are the Dodgers, premier team in the National League for the better part of a decade. The Phillies, obviously, perennial 90 win team, always in the mix, always one of the more talented teams in the field. And you saw them match up, and it was really at times just bad baseball.
yeah,
Like,
ugly. It was not. It was. I bet you know. Besides the LA and Philadelphia are fairly big markets for baseball fans, and so I bet the ratings overall were pretty good. I bet Major League Baseball was very unhappy with the quality of product that was on the field for these 4 days. It was embarrassing, with the exception of the final 3 innings of Game 3 that the Phillies just turned on Kershaw. Nobody hit. There were errors left and right. The Dodgers threw balls into the dugout, I think twice, and the series ended on a play at the plate on an error. It was sloppy baseball. It was not good from teams that have from again that the combined payroll of these two teams was 700. It might be approaching $800 million, and it did not look like it at all. Um, I mean, if you're a fan of good pitching, you might have enjoyed the series because every pitcher, it seemed, was just carving up the hitters they were facing left and right. Um, Even Yamamoto, who went the shortest out, I think, of all the starters in all the games for the Dodgers and the Phillies, with the exception of Aaron Nola. In a regular season, he probably stays in and still throws a quality start in that game because I think he only let up 3 runs in 4 or 5 innings, and so he might have recovered. And that's perhaps the worst pitching performance in the series. So overall, if you're a fan of pitching, the series was fantastic. But overall, as a quality of product for baseball to put out there, the series was terribly sloppy. And I hope the Dodgers get swept out by the Brewers.
I feel like I would be remiss before we segue on if I didn't at least ask our guest special member, Chris Talt, what he thought about the series. Obviously, you guys can both relate getting swept out, and not swept out, getting sent to the lovely beaches of Cancun at the same time. So I'm curious how you thought that series stacked up.
We got to watch some games with each other, so I am
We
curious
did.
now.
We did. I got some firsthand experience watching playoff baseball again with Andrew Lucuski. It
I'm a much
was
more aggressive watcher than you are,
you
Chris.
are, you are. But then my takeaways from your series, it's obviously, like you said, unfortunate how that series ended. It was a sloppy series. I believe I saw it, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but the Dodgers hit below 200 and won the series.
I
Yeah.
did no, so yeah, so hold on, because I think I
Are you gonna
sent that
relay
tweet
me?
to
Are
you.
you gonna relay me stats that say the Phillies scored like I think more runs, had a
They
higher
did.
on base percentage, more hits, and lost the
No,
Yep.
I'm
series?
I'm not going to do that, but this is what I'll say. So The Dodgers, obviously, they 1-4. Some of their stats for this series, they batted 199, so below the Mendoza line. Their team OPS was 557, which is well below average. Their WRC plus, which is basically another form of OPS, is 58, which is and 100 is average for that. So that tells you that they were 42% worse than league average. They went 5 for 29 with runners in scoring position and left 31 batters on base. And this is the team that won the series. So it just blows my mind that, and I don't want to say, I don't want to leave no credit to the Dodgers because at the end of the day, they're a team that they played better than the team that was their opposition. So by like they're either way, they're still going to the NLCS, but just
it feels very similar to the Yankees and Dodgers last year, where the Yankees handed to the Dodgers, and this year the Phillies handed it to the Dodgers. I
they
mean,
gave it
credit to
them.
the Dodgers. I'm going to give credit to the Dodgers just like I did after the World Series because yes, they still won the World
No,
Series,
nuh-uh, no, I
but
will not. They did not earn any of this. It
they
was
didn't earn
handed to
it. But
them. It would
they still
they
beat
won.
you.
Yeah, credit is not winning a 2-1 game in 11 innings. That game should have been won by somebody way earlier because the Dodgers gave the Phillies plenty of chances to score one more run in that game. I think they had runners on at least 6 out of the 9 innings. So did the Dodgers. The Dodgers had guys on second and third with one out in the first inning, and Aaron Nola got out of the inning. Like honestly, no, none of these teams deserved to have gone on. Somebody has to because that's just how it works. But it was for what was supposed to be at least up until this point the matchup for the playoffs. It was by far the worst series. I think it was just
Yeah,
crappy.
you
There was no excitement whatsoever. You've got from every other series, it seems like you have a moment that can be the thing from the series. There's a snapshot of something. I don't know what that is from this series. I mean, like perhaps I'm slightly biased. I don't even think this is worth it. Schwarber hit a really far home run. What else? What else
Uh,
happened? I don't know.
from
I
the
guess
Dodgers point, I would have to guess. I mean, I'm not going to touch on the error by Turkering end it, but my one thing that I guess would stand out to me was game one when Teoscar hit the home run and
yeah.
the
that's
Phillies
probably
were
what it
cruising
is.
to the victory. Yeah, that would have to
Yeah,
be what it is. And that's a boring for the moment of the series to come in game one in that way.
the game one in like the
It,
sixth inning,
yeah,
and to
Yeah.
put up your team by 1 or 2 in game one.
yeah.
I
Those
think it was
that
it was more so just that it was I believe that was at the bank, correct? That those
yeah.
first
Yeah.
few games. Just I think uh and we talk so much about punching in the mouth. I think that was the tone setter, so to speak. And for like you can take that with a grain of salt because we can harp on and on about how they sucked. Like they weren't. It's not like that home run galvanized them and they go drop 10 runs the next game. Like that didn't happen. They sucked. The the Phillies bailed Otani out from so much slander. If the Phillies won this series, I would be on this mic telling you that Shohei Otani had one of the worst playoff series from an MVP caliber player that I've seen in a long time.
Is it crazy to say Otani is a playoff underperformer? Because even in the World Series last year, Otani didn't do anything. They were carried by Freddie Freeman.
I would say that Shohei Ohtani has yet to deliver a signature playoff moment per se.
Okay.
I don't think he's earned the rep yet of being a bad playoff performer, mostly because I mean he barely saw the playoffs before he was on the Dodgers, and this is only his second year on the Dodgers,
Yeah,
so it's a little soon to be giving him that label. But at the same time,
he's certainly on his way to there. If next year the same
Yeah.
thing happens, that's going to be a serious discussion.
yeah, when you're a player that is the MVP of MVPs, that like one of the best baseball players like that we have seen, period, that has ever graced the game. Um,
A player
the
that's
mu-
going to be paid in 8 years to get paid $68 million to not play because your team thinks you're that good right now to defer money. Like
you
if you're that good to 12 years from now be getting paid that much money to not play baseball.
yeah, he needs to, and hopefully, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the NLCS against the Brewers, because I still, and we're going to talk about this when we get into the other matchups. I'm still skeptical on the Brewers. I still don't think I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers swept them because I'm just so bullish on that team and the way they're constructed. And I feel like Shohei Ohtani, he strikes me as a player that um, is not necessarily. I don't think he would be like built for New York. Like there's some personalities that enjoy the spotlight, and Shohei's not that kind of guy. So I think playing at American Family Field in Milwaukee is a lot different than playing in front of a sold out crowd at Citizens Bank Park. So I
Who
wouldn't be
was
surprised.
vociferously booing him.
Right.
And I this was long ago now, and I guess not everybody knows the dealings with that. He signed with the Angels, and he most certainly had other offers when he first came to Major League Baseball. If he wanted to be in, the spotlights of spotlights, he would have been in it a long time ago. The Dodgers just obviously offered him the most money a couple years ago, and that's what happened. But I tend to agree with you. I think that, and he's lucky enough that the team he's on now, he's still the star of stars, but he has Mookie Betts and
Yeah.
Freddie Freeman hitting behind him. So it's not as if there's some massive ridiculous drop off behind him. So he can not blend in per se, but he like nobody's talking about the fact that he had a crappy series because the Dodgers won. So he can his poor performances can blend in that sense. Um, just I don't know where I was going with that train
No,
of thought, but
I mean, it would be a lot different if it was a one man show and he was single handedly dragging the team. And while he certainly put up the best numbers on the team, I would not say that he dragged the Dodgers into the playoffs or past this series. So I think that's kind of what you're looking to see is kind of a takeover per se, and like and without being too crass, the like a Vladdy type of series where he goes and hits bombs and he lets you know that he's in that lineup and he's carrying that team.
mhm.
Before we transition to the next half of the Cancun squad, I want to ask you because I haven't gotten to tell you this yet. The Phillies have now lost a myriad of playoff series in the last couple of years. 2021 World Series, 2022 NLCS,
NLCS.
2020. Wait, no, it would be
2022 was World
2022
Series.
World
Sorry, yeah,
Series.
yeah, yeah.
22
2022
World
World
Series,
Series,
23 NLCS, and the last 2
NLCS.
years NLDS.
Right. So out of the four, what has been the worst? And I guess
NLCS.
NLCS.
Hands down the NLCS.
So I guess from a expectations let down, I feel like NLCS is the pretty clear winner. But just I feel like obviously, so I guess a better question is how does the reaction from those series vary? Because it's not the same emotion losing NLCS Game 7 against the Diamondbacks to losing uh against the Mets and the DS. It's both obviously heartbreaking, but for different areas. So I guess I was curious on your point of view on that.
So I think the the big thing that makes the NLCS different between last year and this year to an extent is the it felt insulting as a fan of the team to watch that happen. Last year, the the Mets and the Phillies felt like a better, more evened matchup, and obviously the Dodgers Phillies this year than the Diamondbacks Phillies in 2023. So I don't ever want to make excuses for teams losing. Losing that series is more excusable than going up 2-0 and just handing it away. If it was again, it felt insulting as a fan to watch the team just get embarrassed and have to have Craig Kimbrell. I think he blew multiple games, and to have Garrett Stubbs, oh, we're gonna go swim in the pool, and to just for everything just to fall apart. Um, and to have the pennant planted on your home field in Game 7, and the letdown felt much higher because the first two games they handed it to the Diamondbacks. Like I was listening to the Athletic podcast that the one of the Phillies guys does, And he said when he was in the press box for the NLCS, national reporters after game two were literally booking their hotels for the World Series after those first two games because of how much they handed it to the Diamondbacks those 2 days. And so to go all the way up the incline and be like, all right, yeah, back to back pennants, like they're just going to hand it to Diamondbacks and to just fall flat on your face. Last year, honestly, last year felt the same as this year. After game one, when the Mets came back after Zach Wheeler threw 7 innings of one run or shutout baseball, I forget what it was, and the Phillies lost the game. Like, part of me felt like the series was over right then and there. And the same thing happened this year after the Phillies were up in game one and then lost it. So it's the difference. The difference is you know, the overall arc of the series was much different. The NLCS started just about as high as you can with a playoff series. The games were the Phillies pitched well. They hit even better. The Diamondbacks just looked terrible. Corbin Carroll he couldn't even hit that year. I think that was his rookie year, wasn't it?
That
Um,
sounds right.
and the last 2 years, honestly, the first, both game ones, they just looked lifeless. So from the get go, part of me felt like, oh, they're not going to win this. So that I find to be the difference in in those series.
So I'll spare you the pain of having to talk more about that team. So we're going to shift now to our other team. The Toronto Blue Jays are headed to the ALCS at long last for the first time in Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s tenure on the team, defeating the Yankees in four. So, Chris, before we get started, I guess my I don't have any specific questions. Just take the floor, get your grievances out because we got to make Andrew feel better about his team.
I
Nothing will
can't
make me
believe
feel better. But go
I
ahead,
can't
Chris.
I can't believe we wasted this much of a generational playoff run from Aaron Judge this year, which is the thing we needed the last couple of years, and we got it this year, and we get bounced into the S. Like he hit 500 in the playoffs. You don't see anybody doing that. The next best hitter on the Yankees hit 227, and that's Austin Wells, who you expect that average from, but like Stanton didn't have a good October. Bellinger didn't have a good October. Chisholm didn't have a good October. McMahon had his moments, but he's Ryan McMahon. You're not banking on him. Volpe, we expected him to do what he did. Grisham had a horrible postseason, hit 138. I mean, the home runs too. The Yankees had 6 home runs in 7 playoff games. For the Yankees, that's not a winning formula. They need more than that. Uh, I'm not. It's such a different feeling than it was last year. Because knowing last year we handed the Dodgers game one when we brought in Nestor, and game five with all the errors. This year, Toronto flat out beat the Yankees. The Toronto's pitching was better. Yankees pitching was horrible. Uh, the Yankees couldn't get any big hits other than game three when Aaron Judge hit the home run. I thought the defense hands down this year was a lot better than it was last year. I know Jazz made an error in game four, which led to a couple of runs coming in, but over the course of the back half of the season post trade deadline, uh, it was much better. But even when you look at this team, the bullpen, I genuinely thought this team was deeper than they were last year. And I know they could have had Cole this year if he wasn't hurt too, but I think from a pitching
I
standpoint, it
kind
was
of
pretty
forgot he was on
similar.
the Yankees. I'm not even gonna
Yeah,
lie. The dude never pitches. I kind of forgot he was on the
yeah.
Yankees.
I thought if you compare last year's rotation in the playoffs, Fried and Cole were basically the same person heading into the playoffs. Cole probably better in playoff than Fried, but Rodon was Rodon. Fried and Rodon both pitched good in the Boston series, but then Toronto, they I don't even want to say they forgot how to pitch. Toronto just out hit them. Toronto just ball and play every pitch. It was that was something, and it's just a totally different feeling than last year. I can't. I'm upset, but I've come to terms with Toronto just beat them the series. It's different than coming back to Andrew with the Phillies and Dodgers. They didn't beat each other. No, the Dodgers didn't beat the Phillies. in this
It was the
series.
tale of whatever team sucked
Yeah,
less.
and
At least the
yeah,
Blue Jays had a good series.
yeah, the Blue Jays. I mean, I don't have their stats up right now, but they hit the crap out of that baseball
Yeah.
and ball and play every time, which that's a winning formula in the playoffs.
So who
Yeah.
comes back, Chris? Who's a free
Uh,
agent? Who comes back? Who do you want to come back?
I want Bellinger back. He's vital to this team. He could play phenomenal
I thought he had an option this
phenomenal.
year. Is it a player option?
He it's a player option.
Yeah, it's being declined.
Yeah, declined.
I don't know what his
Yeah, player option for I believe it was 25 million. He declined. He's going to decline it. So he'll be a free agent. You got to bring him back. I'm just going around free agents. I'm letting Trent Grisham walk, and I said this before the playoffs started. He's not a bad ball player. He's obviously a great defender, but I think he's a 1 year wonder
he's going
playing
to
for a
cost a lot of money
contract.
after
He's
this
going
year.
to
Yeah.
cost a lot of money for what Trent Grisham is actually worth.
Yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt, he'll sail off to sunset in Cancun. He'll have a nice retirement. Uh, Devin Williams and Luke Weaver. I'll take back one of those. I don't really care which one. I'd like one of them back. I thought Weaver this year, a lot of his issues, he got hurt. He was banged up compared to last year, his very good year. So I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on him or Williams, who was much better down the stretch and into the playoffs. Tim Hill should have been in game one in 2024. I want him back. He has a career postseason ERA of 0.52. I believe it's 0.52. I know it's under one. I want him back. I don't even really want to go into free agents right now, but if there was a free agent, I'm not sold on Kyle Tucker.
He had
I
a
don't know.
bad
He had
stretch
a
in
very bad
Chicago.
stretch.
Like,
I'm not,
He cost himself a ton of money.
and I know he's a Scott Boras client, right? Correct me if I'm wrong,
Pretty
or
certain he is.
I thought he was. I thought I saw that somewhere. Unless I'm
If he is
mixing it up
not
with
right
someone.
now, he will make
Because
him
I
a
know Cody Bellinger's a Scott Boras client. I might be mixing it up with him.
so this is of 10 months ago. Kyle Tucker is not
Okay.
represented. He's represented by a group called Excel Sports Management, who is
Got
the
it.
same group that represents Dansby Swanson. But
Okay.
obviously, Dansby Swanson got paid a long time ago
Yeah.
too. So
Yep.
he's definitely, and I think he was targeting
Uh,
400, wasn't he? Like when before the
yes.
Astros dealt him. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of money.
I wouldn't mind a Kyle Tucker on the Yankees, but I don't think he's a make or break thing for this team. I think if you sign back Bellinger, you Dominguez, who was promising at certain points this year, will get a little more run, or Spencer Jones, who's sitting in the minors. I'm not 100% on him either because he's a home run hitter who's not going to hit for average.
sounds a lot
So
like Giancarlo Stanton.
yeah, I think they'll let it play out, but I think they don't need to. They're not going to do much this offseason. They're not going to touch the starting pitching. The bullpen's going to be revamped. Your Bednar is going to be your closer. Camilo Doval, who is excellent down the stretch as well. He'll be possibly your setup man. I'm just.
All right,
It's just.
I'm gonna poke the bear a little bit. How much longer is the leash on Boone and Cashman?
Uh, I honestly, I think the leash is still longer on Cashman than it is Boone. Boone has one more year on his contract. I think they let 2026 run with him. I don't think it's a bad thing. He didn't really lose them any playoff games this
Yeah,
year. Uh, I contrary to what a lot of people think, uh, I've defended Boone a lot more than some people have.
Zachary Fanning.
This the Yankee front office calls the shots. That's why they hired Boone. That's why they let go of Joe Girardi, because Girardi he didn't do what the front office wanted. Boone does exactly what they
He
want.
called the shots. Joe Girardi
It
was in the manager's seat. He was the one making the calls. Yeah, that's him,
they
all
don't,
right.
and I think with Boone's case, if you fire him, you replace him, it's gonna be the same thing. You're gonna have the front office making all these questionable moves.
It's just a yes man
He's just a yes man. Just for if something goes wrong, you fire him. The front office stays. I really want them to revamp, especially the way they lost looking across the field at how the Blue Jays did. You got to revamp this analytics thing. I mean, like home runs aren't going to win you every game. They're going to win you games when you hit them, but when it matters the most in playoff time, if you're not putting the ball in play, you're losing.
It's so
Hmm.
And
interesting you say that because I have given a lot of thought to what you've said because when the Mets lost their World Series in 2015, they lost to a Royals team that probably the highest home run hitter was I assume was Mike Moustakas or Sal Perez. They might have had 30, but the rest of that team, Lorenzo Cain, Alcides Escobar, Eric Hosmer, a bunch of guys that hit 300 and they were annoying and they hit the ball all the time in
Yeah, they
play.
were,
So
right-handed
yep,
hitters that were slapping the ball to right field, crap like that.
yep,
yeah, so small ball, steal bases, that kind of shit. But then you have the Phillies, who, granted, recent success hasn't been there, but they're the opposite, where you have a bunch of guys. You have Schwarber, you have Harper, you have Hoskins at the time, and they had guys that were like, okay, we have 8 players that can go yard at any moment, and we just need 3 of them in a given day, and it worked. So I'm like, there's certain merit to both, I guess, styles of play, but it's just so interesting to see how that plays out year after year. And I guess the answer to that is just it's more of a high risk, high reward because if
yeah.
your guys are
Mm.
hot and they can go yard, like then
No one's going to beat you
you're
if
gonna
you're
outslug a
running
team.
into it. Yeah.
But
Like
then
Hmm. Absolutely.
we've certainly seen that before. I'm sure, like we've all seen that with our 3 teams, especially me and you, Andrew, where the Yankees and Phillies are power teams compared to other teams in baseball. Uh, I'd like to see a flip in that. I love. I've said it from the deadline. I love what Cashman did at this deadline to help this team going forward. You have Ryan McMahon for 2 more years now, lockdown defender. I'll take that. His bat will come along in New York. Jose Caballero, great, ideally a bench player who can play anywhere,
Dude can steal
steal
bases.
bases.
Hmm.
Dude can steal bases. I love that going forward. I wouldn't love it, however, if he was a starter because that would lock him into one spot. And he's realistically not going to hit higher than 230 in a season, I don't think. Uh, Doval again locked down for next year, and Bednar locked down for next year. So that's 4 of your 4 biggest acquisitions
Yeah,
at the deadline.
multi-year.
They're all coming back next year,
Hmm.
and that's again every general manager makes bad moves time to time. They're not perfect in that aspect,
I know,
but I,
trust
I
me.
think I think Cashman has a longer leash, and I do like Brian Cashman as a general manager.
I don't want to hear crap from you, man. And did the Mets sign Jordan Romano for $8 million?
No, but they signed a lot of people. They traded for a lot of people that were terrible.
The
They
Or,
the
or, or I mean,
they signed Ryan Stanek. They traded for
What did them? Oh, that pitching lab didn't work out too well, Menson.
the pitching lab is not the problem. Jeremy Hefner wasn't the problem. I said this that I think God, I hate it because like you believe in Cashman, I will believe in Stearns until he gets the boot, which hopefully won't be
Yep.
for a very long time. The pitching lab did more than it was supposed to. The pitching lab made David Peterson an ace for half the year, made Griffin Canning, who was one of the worst pitchers in baseball the entirety of his career, into a reliable mid rotation guy. The pitching lab turns Tyler McGill into Jacob DeGrom every April. Like, the pitching lab's fine. The problem is eventually the pitching lab can only get you so far. So,
Yep.
to
problem is your
without
strength coach has gotta get the guys down the stretch. At some point, you got to turn it over
Pitch
to the
pitching
to that
also
crew.
pitching also jogged my memory. I can't believe I forgot to do it. But talking about the Yankees postseason, I can't believe I forgot to get throw my flowers to Cam Schlittler. I mean,
he's a
how
guy.
he's
He's a guy.
he's a future guy in
You
that
could put up a
rotation.
banner that says, Yankees have the guy who has the most strikeouts in his first. What was it? Highest strikeouts in your first playoff
Playoff
start, your
game,
rookie
playoff start,
year, or
rookie
something
year.
like
Yep.
that.
Hmm.
So there you go.
But I think again that's one of my other things with him. His arm's as electric as any arm in baseball, you could argue. Uh, I thought he was phenomenal, and he's odds are next year going into it in a perfect world, he's either your fourth or your fifth starter.
Speaking
But
of that, Chris, I was going to tell
yeah,
you while I recite mine. You got to put together. While I'm reciting mine, I want you to put together your lineup in rotation.
for next year.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can
I'm
go with
not.
mine first.
Okay,
because
let me put mine together. I'm not don't put together a bullpen, right? Just
no, no, no,
lineup
no, no, no,
and
no, no, no,
got
no.
it. Starting
Um,
lineup and uh, actual lineup or just positions?
just positions. You don't need to,
Okay,
no, we don't need to do all this.
perfect.
Um, you know,
All right, I'm putting one
who's
together.
gonna hit where and crap like that.
All right, I'll put that one
Um,
together.
and Mets fan Andrew, if you want to get in on this too, you can.
Way ahead of you.
I figured try to have one out, but I put mine out. I put mine out the other day to make myself feel better. And this is my ideal, perfect, everything goes according to plan lineup because it's early enough and it's not even technically the off season yet. It's my off season that I can be like this. So I have JT coming back to catch, Harper first, Aiden Miller at second, because I think he's Aiden Miller and Trey Turner in the middle. That can switch a little bit. Turner actually had a better year defensively than I thought he would. So whatever moves work out there. Bohm, I've gone back and forth about keeping Bohm, but I think because he's such a contact RBI guy hitting behind Harper, keeping him at third is good. And then an outfield in my ideal, wonderful Dombrowski has his Hall of Fame offseason. Harrison Bader comes back, Justin Crawford, and Kyle Tucker, and let Ranger walk and replace him with Painter in the rotation come next year. Um, so that would leave the Phillies with a rotation of when everybody's healthy, Wheeler, Sanchez, Painter, Nola, and then I guess Taiwan Walker because he didn't have a terrible year, but I'd be fine with that sort of being a revolving door for this season unless somebody cheap comes up. And the starting pitching class for this year is actually not terrible. It's probably the strongest position going into the off season. So I don't know. If you take a 1 year on somebody from there, I'd be okay with that. And my camera's freezing up again, so I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Oh, there we go. But that's mine. I'm up in the air about DH right now, and I would like to have a segment on Schwarber later in the episode that we can talk about. But I'll let you guys give your give your ideal positional lineups
I
for
got
next
mine
year.
ready for you, Andrew.
Okay.
I'm going to start with the pitching first because that's straightforward. Cole, Fried, Rodon, Schlittler, and Heel. That's straight. Will
Okay.
Warren, you could even, if someone gets hurt, slot him in, who I think he got a bad rep this year. He had 20 plus starts of two or fewer runs given up, and he had probably five starts where he just completely blew it out and gave up 10 runs, almost like between 6 and 10 runs. Uh, it's going to be for offense wise positions. I've got Austin Wells catching. He's a clear better defender than Ben Rice behind the plate. I'm going to put Ben Rice as the everyday first baseman right now. Jazz, I'm going to roll with him second. Ryan McMahon back at third, plus defender. Shortstop, this is where things get interesting for me. If we don't, assuming we don't sign anybody, Volpe has to win the job in spring training. I think it has to be his rookie year again, where if you don't have a good spring, you're not winning the job. If they were to sign someone, I'd but the two big free agents I'm not opposed to
Uh,
signing
it's not a
are
great
either
class.
I'm either going in on signing Bo Bichette and taking the bad defenses we already have that at short with Volpe, or going all in signing Tucker. But right now I have Volpe at short, Judge right, Bellinger in center, and Kyle Tucker in left. So we got that. And then Stanton the DH. I think the Yankees have a lot less moving pieces than the Phillies do going into next year.
And my problem is that they're similar. I want guys to be traded.
Yeah.
You didn't give me guys that want to be traded when you were talking about
Yeah.
who's coming back. Half of the guys that I don't want coming back need to be traded or cut from the team. It's not
Yeah.
people that have a contract. So,
I
and I just
saw I did
go ahead.
see something interesting on MLB Network. They did a segment about Jazz and possibly trading him, cashing in on that.
No way. You
Uh,
can't do that. You can't
I
do
completely disagreed with it right off the bat. I'm like, you can't trade a 30-30 guy. I mean, yet Jazz isn't going to bring you a 300 plus average, but you cannot trade a 30-30 guy still on a rookie deal with Aaron Judge in his prime for who knows how much longer. You can't do that. That would be That's not a Yankees thing to do and say, "Oh, we're going to go cash in and we're going to trade one of our better players while we have this roster that we need to win with right now."
If
If
teams were
you,
willing to trade guys that were almost major league ready, it would make
Mhm.
more sense. But every time you
Yeah.
trade good players, it's you're getting two guys in Double A
Yeah.
and a guy in the Florida Gulf Coast
Yeah.
League. It's just
Mhm.
nobody like nobody trades major leaguers for major leaguers anymore. Nobody even
Yeah.
trades major leaguers for Triple A guys. So anything that you do is at least another
Mhm.
season away, probably
Yep.
two.
And if we don't sign Kyle Tucker, I'd go sign Bo Bichette. I'd keep Bellinger in left, and I'd bring up Spencer Jones and let him ride in center. And maybe try and cash in on trading Jason Dominguez in a crowded outfield.
it's interesting you say that. I was curious what your thoughts were for center field specifically, because like you can't put Judge out there, like with the
No,
arm
Judge
stuff.
has to stay in right. It's either going to be, in my opinion, for center field, it's either going to be Bellinger. You're not going to put Tucker out there if you got him. It'll be either Bellinger. I think it's going to be it. Either Bellinger, Dominguez, or Jones. I think that's all it's going to be in center. I don't think they bring back Grisham, so I'm not going to even include him right now. But that's still an opportunity. I know he has the qualifying offer. Well, the Yankees have to give him that, I believe. So we'll see if he takes that.
He
But I
might.
don't think he could take that because he had a down postseason. And I don't know how I wouldn't be opposed to it if the Yankees could bring him back on the 1 year qualifying offer and play it cheaper again with him. But I don't think he does that coming off of the regular season he had.
He probably doesn't, but some guys
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what they're going to get out there. And it's a 1 year deal, but isn't the qualifying offer like 18 or 19 this year? It's pretty good.
It might
I
be even
believe so.
more.
Yeah, I
It's
think
Yeah, it
I
might be
thought it was in
approaching.
20, at least
It might be
20.
approaching 20 now. Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What $20 million for 1 year is pretty hard to turn down.
Yeah.
Um, but if I were the Yankees, I'd extend it. If he
Especially if that
if he takes it,
mhm.
whatever you get it, you get a
mm,
guy who could be a good
Yeah,
outfielder. If he doesn't take it, you get a
exactly.
draft pick.
projected to
Exactly.
be 22 million this year.
Whoa.
I think I would take that on a 1 year with Grisham. Honestly, as a plus defender,
Yeah, you're
that's
getting something out of it.
yeah. But my problem with that is if they try to do that, it's just going to fall into where they are, and they're going to probably end up bringing back Bellinger. We're going to be running back the same team that just lost.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather see them shake it up at least in the outfield. I think the infield's on lock. I want to see a righty catcher, and Andrew, I know you're gonna be mad at this, but I would not be mad if we brought in JT Realmuto
Bro, nobody should be mad. He's the best. He's the best catcher on the market by far.
because my issue with the Yankees this season, I mean Ben Rice didn't catch every day, but you were rolling with three left-hand hitting catchers.
Yeah, you need the right-handed
Wells,
bats helpful.
Rice, and JC Escara. You got to have one righty catcher in there that at least could give because you're not going to face when you face a lefty hitter, you're basically throwing in the towel at that position. You're saying go try and hit,
Hmm.
and these guys don't hit against lefties.
I'd I'd be really upset about that. I feel fairly confident in saying that he is the one guy that will be coming back.
I think of all Phillies that are impending free agents, JT is nearly a lock to go back.
Because then I think for a lot of reasons, including that he's incredibly popular with the pitchers.
Hmm.
That of the three main guys that are leaving, being Ranger Suarez, Kyle Schwarber, and JT,
Yeah.
he is by far the position that would have the steepest drop off should he leave. I don't even know if they were to go out and sign somebody. Um, who's I have MLB's thing pulled up here. Catchers, yeah, JT with a 4.0 WAR. Salvador Perez is next up. He's older than JT, and he's got a club option that
They're
I
not
don't know
letting
if
him
it'll be
go.
picked up. Yeah,
They're
so
not letting him go.
then below that is Victor Caratini, who had a 2.7 WAR this year. He's a couple years younger than JT, but I don't know. I think, and he'll be taking a pay cut because he's 6 years older than when he signed his mega deal that he's got right now. So no matter where he goes, he's not getting paid $21 million a year at the age of 35. Um, so I do think he's got to come back. So much to your disappointment, Chris. But
I'm not
um,
again. I wouldn't be disappointed if we don't get him. I just think if we have an opportunity to go get a right hand hitting catcher, I think we take it.
I think the
Hopefully,
problem is I think he's gonna want 3 years, which is a
yeah.
lot for a 35-year-old catcher. And the problem is that obviously he's got a good enough bat that he can DH. The Yankees have the same problem that the Phillies would have if they bring back Schwarber, that your DH spot's locked. So he's got to
Yeah,
catch, or you're going to be paying a guy probably $10 to $12 million just to not play for
exactly.
50 games a year because he's got to sit. So
Yeah,
his free agency is definitely an interesting case.
yeah,
And I did forget to mention on my rotation. I totally forgot about Jesus Luzardo. He's obviously going to be in the Phillies rotation next year too. Um, I did forget to mention that, but Menson, you want to give us your positional lineup for next year?
Let's do it. So let's start with the easy ones. So let's see. Francisco Alvarez is going to be the catcher, like for all the reasons we just said. Francisco Alvarez, for my money, is better than every single catcher on that list. So
I'm gonna light the fire here and interrupt you. You know what? Give me Pete Alonso at first base. Let's do what you guys did taking Soto. We'll take Alonso from you. We'll
I
we'll
can
take him. We'll put Rice catching.
I will make a
There will be
special episode.
a live broadcast for
I
that news to be broken.
There's no person in the world that will be able to escape my fury if they let Pete Alonso specifically to the Yankees.
See,
It's
this is
gonna
this is why I would be a terrible executive because if I was Cashman of the and the GM of a multi-billion-dollar
Yeah.
sports team, I would sign Pete Alonso
Just to
purely
spite
for
the
screwing
Mets.
with the
Yeah,
purely screwing with the Mets. And I'd probably sign him to a stupid contract just to make sure that it actually happened.
yeah,
And I don't, obviously I think Cashman's a smarter guy than I am and probably wouldn't do that. But,
yeah.
you know,
It would just be
that,
that would be something to see. Again, we'd have to have an immediate State of the
yeah.
Union Shin
Oh, yeah.
Music podcast.
it would be bad. But yeah, that brings me to first base. Pete Alonso has come back. The report is that he wants 7 years. If he
That's a
gets
lot.
seven, that's a
That's
lot
way
of
too much.
years. I am cool with 5. I could be convinced to go to 6 because he is detrimentally important to this baseball team. I don't think he's getting 7 years. He wanted seven
Seven
years
years at the
last
age of
year.
31 is a lot.
It's not
No way you're
Yeah.
happening.
paying him till be 38.
For a
It's
guy
not
who's
happening.
not going to last as long as
Yeah, he's not. He
others.
doesn't have the eye of a Soto or a Vladdy to where those skills are going to age well. But again, you have to get him back because you're not going to be able to replace that production. You need to add to the team, not get an equivalent team or a worse team. Second base, I'm ready to hand the keys to Jet Williams. Granted, he has to earn it, so I'm not penciling him in. So in that case, I would have perhaps Beatty works in a little bit. I know the free agents are not great. Glaber, I'm not giving extended contract to, so it would be a more of a stopgap guy, whether that be Rengifo,
Brandon
maybe
Lau had a good year.
yeah, but
Yeah.
he's got a club option, so they'll probably pick that up. And so or Willie Cash, I like Willie Castro actually because he's a utility player. Still only 29. You could give him a couple years. He kind of works as a utility player when Jet comes in and wins the job. Hopefully, that's somebody
Yeah.
you can play utility wise. Um, and so that's probably option A. And then so Lindor obviously shortstop. Don't need to talk about that. Third, Beatty needs to play every day. Beatty's been good enough. He has shown that he can win the job. Mauricio's gonna play more. He deserves his full like an extended run of ABs. Vientos deserves an extended run of ABs, whether that's here or somewhere else. Nemo's gonna play left field. Center field is tough for the same reason. Carson Benj is one of the best outfield prospects in baseball. But I can't. I do not um, approve of giving a rookie player or a player who's never had an MLB at bat the keys to a position, especially center field. And because there's no backup plan. If he sucks, then you're screwed until July. So I would be in favor of maybe Luis Robert. The White Sox were being way too stingy with what they were asking for.
Speaking of that, I am going to cut you off. We did talk about this at the trade deadline, and I distinctly remember telling you what the White Sox were offering from my amazing inside sources, and your words to me were, "He's getting dealt." And I was saying to you, they were treating him as if the White Sox they were trading him to a team assuming that they were going to pick up his option for next year. They were
Yeah,
assuming that his $20 million option of course was going to get picked up. So they were trading him as a year and a half player. And obviously, I don't know if there's any news on this front. the White Sox are not picking up that.
I think they will, so they can trade him. I think that's what the problem was, that in negotiations they were saying, "Hey, we're like you said, this isn't a rental. This is a guy that is going to be he's going to play for you next year." And everyone called their bluff, and they didn't fold. So now they have to pick his. I mean, and I could be wrong. The Jerry Reinsdorf could very well be a little stingy and let him cut him loose. In which case, he needs to get signed. But he's a player I would underline as somebody. I mean, I will always take, and you'll see this with my my rotations signings, hopefully. But I'm always in favor of taking a swing on guys that have that kind of upside and that have displayed perhaps a change of scenery could change their fortunes, so to say. So he would be somebody I would like. If Grisham, I would take Grisham on a short-term, high AAV deal, just because I am not opposed to any short-term deal. Money is not a problem. Obviously, it's a matter of flexibility for long-term payroll. So those two, I assume Bader's going to get brought back, like you said. The rest of the guys here aren't anything. I don't want to pay
I
Cody
don't know if
Bellinger.
I think Bader's gonna be on the market.
Then he's another, but like I'm cool with, like, here's 2 years, 20 million, come back. When Benj inevitably gets that job, then you just rotate to being a backup outfielder, and that's perfectly fine. Although Tyrone Taylor is on the team, but I don't really want to see him play every day in the event that Benj needs seasoning. So right fielder Juan Soto, again, no need to talk about that. There is talk about moving Juan Soto to first base if Pete Alonso doesn't sign. It's a little early for that. I am
Yeah, that's
happy.
very early.
I'm
Yeah,
happy to let him play first base when he's 34 and the bat is there, and he's not that he's not abysmal out there yet. He has his low lights for sure, but he, generally speaking, he's a little below average.
people are way too comfortable talking the big slugger going to first base way too
No,
early in
Yeah,
his career
not
now.
doing
that's
that.
what. Yeah,
Not doing that. He has a long time to go before I want to see him at that position. Kyle Tucker, again, it all comes down to money. We need a DH. The only way that I'm comfortable with starting a Jet or a Benj on opening day is if the DH is somebody big. So obviously Kyle Schwarber. Um, it was rough watching that dude in the DS, but then he turned it on, and my
And then he
fears
turned it
were
immediately back off.
that okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's how it goes. That's how it goes, and that's unfortunately. I'm gonna have to see the contract before I really decide is it worth it or not. But at this point, the Mets are a team that um, they need to go out and get somebody. Like it's not enough to go bring back P and bring back Diaz. Like I need somebody added to this team that is a dog and is going to show up. And if Carl Schwarber signs and he sucks, then at least you tried. So if it's not Schwarber, Murakami is obviously another alternative. Um, I don't have an official verdict on him because obviously I haven't seen what he can do when he comes stateside. He seems to be a little not necessarily on the elite tier. He seems to be a very good everyday player, upper echelon everyday player that's could have some star seasons, but is not a superstar. Is the vibe that I'm getting from the brief analysis I've done. So it's he's very young for obviously, and that's a player that Stearns loves, is young guys that aren't in their 30s, and you give them a 7-year deal and they're 33 or 34 when their deal's done. So I'm on board with bringing him on. He plays third but not well, so he would be a first base DH. So again, just something to spice it up. Now onto the rotation. Nolan McLean, don't have to speak much on him. He is going to be probably the ace of this team, which is not good for. I feel bad for him to be thrust into that role after not even 50 innings. He's still going to be a rookie still when he pitches next year. David Peterson should still be in the rotation. He was the best pitcher on the Mets for most of the season. Kodai Senga, there are reports that, or not reports per se, but there's been a little buzz that he could get moved. I don't see it unless another team really, really likes him, because to be fair, he is on the hook for only $15 million for the next 2 years, which for a starting pitcher in 2025 much less a starting pitcher as with the upside of Kodai Senga is nothing. That's a bargain of a contract. So there could be interest in him. He frustrates me to no end with the amount of concessions that have to be made to keep this guy on track to make starts. But he's shown that he can have sustained success here. So at the end of the day, you just can't rely on him to be the ace. If he can be a mid rotation guy, for the record, I am going 6-man because that's another thing that Kodai Senga needs is 5 days of rest. So I would like to sign a high upside pitcher that is not necessarily elite. So while I don't know if I would mind a Dylan Cease or a Framber Valdez. I think I would prefer more of a Zach Gallen, Shane Bieber, where I think those two guys could be just as good as the names I just listed in any point of the season. But obviously they will come at a discount. Bieber because of the injury and Gallen because he had a terrible season for most of last year. So if you can get those guys on 3-year deals, even like 3 years with an opt out after the first, like that's cool. Like we'll give you that. You give us the flexibility of not tying you down for 7 years, and we'll give you a nice payday and a chance to make yourself more money next year. I think that's astute, and I think that's what David Stearns is probably looking to do this year. Brandon Sproat has pitched well enough, even though he didn't pitch great at the end, his final start of the season against the Marlins, I believe, or maybe it was the Cubs before, but his final start was not great. But he's fine. He's shown that he was always a high floor guy coming out. You give him the number 5 spot, he'll hold it down. I've no qualms about bringing him back. And then the 6th spot is going to be hopefully. I was looking for a Merrill Kelly, somebody that's I don't mind the age because I know he's not going to cost any more than 1 or 2 years. Another high floor guy. He's going to come in, throw hopefully 150, 160 innings. He's going to give you at worst a 4 or 5 ERA. Perfectly fine. We need league average pitchers because the pitchers were not league average for the last month of the season. So please just give me league average consistent starting pitching is all I ask. Jonah Tong should not be in the rotation quite yet. He was rushed, and I am very excited about him in the future, but I probably don't want to see him till June. And Sean Manaea should be a swingman because he had a great run, and I was really excited, and he's going to be a very expensive swingman, unfortunately. But again, money is not the concern. The concern is winning games here. So you got to do what you got to do. And I know we didn't talk about bullpens, but Diaz needs to come back. That's non-negotiable. I don't really care. He's not going to get more than 5 years on the market. Do what it takes. I've already talked about this on the pod because I can't believe I'm saying this. Because if you asked me at any point before this season, I would have said, I want him gone. He's too inconsistent, but he's the best closer in baseball. So you got to do what you got to do to get him back. And hopefully you can get some setup guys on multi-year deals that aren't anything past 3. 3 would be rough, but hopefully 2 to 3. Get some elite setup guys. And hopefully they can pitch in New York, unlike Ryan Helsley. So that would be nice. Overall, I'm optimistic for the team. It just, and of course I am because I'm a Mets fan. They're gonna be all right. They have young guys coming up. They debuted 3 starting pitchers who took turns at points in the season, looking like they deserved every bit of the hype they got coming up. Like I said, Jet Williams, top 30 prospect, Carson Bench, top 25 prospect. The young guys are coming up, and we have some guys in Double A as well that can make contributions. So I feel good about this team going into next year, but they will only they need help. They need major league help. They need they need to add a star. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Schwarber. I don't care if it's Alex Bregman on a 4-year deal and you push Beatty to second base. I don't care if you go out and you sign Dylan Cease. I don't care as long as they bring in talent because this team is clear. And, Carlos Mendoza, again, all he kept saying was this team is too talented to fail. Well, guess what? The team was not talented because they failed and they weren't talented enough to make the postseason. And it has nothing to do with a stretch of bad luck because they played terrible for months. So they need to go out and get more talent because it's not enough. So that's my take on the Mets and what they can do
I think
for
my camera
next year.
froze again, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but I do want to switch to Schwarber for a second because I think he's an interesting case for free agency this year. So I'm going to give you his last 3 years in playoffs. Because 2022 he had a monster year in the playoffs, but so did everybody on the Phillies. I'll give you his 2024 stats first. In 74 plate appearances, he had 6 home runs, 10 RBIs, and 12 hits. 6 of those being extra base hits, all home runs. He also had 18 strikeouts. But in the last 3 years, my camera's still frozen. In the last 3 years in the playoffs, he's had 96 plate appearances. He has 17 hits, 10 RBIs, and 8 home runs, good for just over a 180 average in the playoffs. So does that long of a stretch and almost 100 plate appearances the postseason is not nothing. Does that long of a stretch affect his contract? That's a question for either of you guys. Does that have any, not in terms of length necessarily, but do teams look at this and say, you know, you are a annual 40 plus home run hitter, but the last couple years when it's mattered most, you have not really been there.
I don't think so. Not at all.
At the negotiating table, maybe like they'll probably tell that to his agent, and their agent's going to look at them and he's going to laugh and he's going to say, "We want 40 million a year," and the teams are going to say, "All right," because at the end of the day, like this, I personally feel that this free agent class is pretty weak, generally speaking.
Teams
He's
are
So
going to
lucky.
overpay at this.
There's an argument to be made that he's a top 2 or 3 bat in the class.
Oh, he
And
definitely is coming
on
off
on,
so
last
on
year.
bat alone, he's probably the best. When you
Yeah.
factor in speed, age, defense, then it's going to be Kyle Tucker. But on bat alone and what that bat brings to the lineup, it's no question.
Yeah.
It's Kyle Schwarber.
yeah, so relative to his class. So then what's his deal then? What do you think he gets?
I think he gets 4 years, probably 150, 160.
I think he's going to
Um,
want more than 4 years.
they're not going to give it to him. That's fine. Maybe he gets 5 or 6 years and he gets it at 35 instead of 40 million a year. But to me, that makes perfect sense that he'll get five. I'll say 5 years. Because to
Yeah,
be
because I think I think he's playing as if this is his last contract because he's 33. So I think he's gonna want to play. I mean, I guess depending on the length, he'll get maybe like another 1 year contract after this. But I think he's gonna want this to be his last contract. So I think it wouldn't shock me if he's willing to take the annual hit to get that extra year.
Yeah, and to be fair, some teams like that. Like I know the Harper deal. If you look back on it now, obviously 25 million a year for Bryce Harper, it's pretty damn good. Despite at the time getting 13 years, like right now, it's allowed the Phillies the flexibility to go out and sign a Trey Turner, and stuff like that. So, but to be fair, I don't know. For me, if I had to put money in right now, I'd say probably four. I lean five. Now that you mentioned that, at around 40 million a year sounds about right. And I think a team will pay that. If the Mets pay that, then again, it's not my money, and I don't have to pretend to worry about tax brackets unless they come out next year and the CBA has the salary cap because they are idiots. Then that's
That's a thing.
unfortunate.
Yeah, I have to come at it from a different perspective. Obviously, again, it's not my money, and I'm not going to argue with you about the differences in uh, ability to spend. I don't really think the Phillies exactly have a spending cap either. They pull in quite a bit of revenue. Um, I my hesitancy for him to come back is a small part of it is that's a lot of money per year. That's as much as Zach Wheeler is making per year. Um,
It's a lot of money to commit to not just Kyle Schwarber, but to commit to that core.
to commit
Because
to a position.
Yeah, I mean that's
That
true.
lock, he is not going to play. He will not play outfield wherever he goes. And I know he's gotten in better shape. You are committing that is the guy that has to be in the lineup. If you're paying a DH that much money, 155 games a year, probably more. And I think Kyle Schwarber played more than that. And yes, that is my biggest problem is that at some point it is purely about a personnel change because I think that $40 million could be spent in other places doing a not a great job, but a really good job at replacing that production, and it just gets new people around the team. Because I would like, you know, I think I think per year you're probably right. He's going to get that much, and if you do that, that's double the payroll that he just had on your team this year, and that handicaps you to get anything else done. And then you are just running it back. So, you know, that's my biggest issue with him coming back is simply it's a matter of somebody um somebody's got to go
Yeah.
from this just to simply not run the team back out there again. And the somebody who's going to go is the somebody who's going to cost double what he's making right now. And
The,
that seems like the easiest one to let go.
the way I see it, it's like you have obviously Harper's going to stay. He's around forever. Trey Turner's going to stay. Sanchez, I don't know when he's a free agent, but if he's got a long time until he's a free agent.
He's got another three
Um,
years, I think.
but you're probably turning over the guard where like I really think Zach Wheeler's not he's done. Like this Zach Wheeler, we have seen the best of Zach Wheeler. So
Yep.
that core is done. That part of the core is done. Castellanos is done. JT's done, or essentially he's not going to be relied on as a core guy. So
JT's coming back specifically as the pitchers like him as a catcher.
right,
You are
he's
not
he's a
paying him as a bat.
stopgap. He's a stopgap
Yeah.
until they get somebody else. So this is the time for the Phillies to have a 2024 Mets approach where it's a soft reset, not necessarily a rebuild. But like this is time to get money off the books. And like you said, we have kids coming up, or you have kids coming up, like with Justin Crawford, Adam Miller, those type of guys. So this could be a good year to get heavy money off the books, play the kids, still have some guys to compete. So that way you go into next year with a lot more space and being able to then that is your summer, especially with Tarek Skubal. Not that he's necessarily a fit for the Phillies, but as a Mets fan,
Anybody that good is a fit for any team.
that is
Yeah.
It's
true.
just
Yeah.
And like, and to be honest, I hadn't obviously I've considered it, but in the context of this episode, like I want Tarek Skubal on the Mets, and that's like obviously you want Tarek Skubal on the Mets. Like I obviously they can go get him if they wanted to. Granted, it's gonna come at the expense of some free agents. Like if you sign Kyle Schwarber, you're not signing Tarek Skubal. But like,
because they're probably getting the same amount per year, and
yeah.
Yeah.
School might get a little less if he's wanting a little bit longer of a deal, just because there's, I think it depends on the type of deal. If he's getting I don't think he's getting a Garrett Cole length type of deal, but if he's getting a longer term deal, he's not going to get paid as much. Or if he's getting this, 3-year Wheeler type deal where he's going to get $40 million and get $120 million and then be done. I forget how old School is. I know he's younger than.
So Tarek Skubal, I believe this will be his age 30 season coming up.
So he could get 5 years. I could see
Sorry.
him getting
Okay.
like.
No. So when he is a free agent, he will be so the first year of his contract on the new team, assuming he's not a Detroit Tiger, will be his age 30 season.
Oh, he might get like 6 years then.
I think he's gonna get way more. If Aaron Nola got 6 or 7 years, whatever it was, like Tarek Skubal's getting 8 easily. Tarek Skubal is. It says something when Paul Skeens is probably having the best start to a career that we've ever seen any pitcher have ever. And Tarek Skubal is still kind of the unquestioned best pitcher in baseball. That's how good he
I
is.
don't I don't know much about Scooble's injury history, and I think and I'm gonna.
It's
This is
early.
my
It
own.
was early in his career. He
Okay.
had some stuff, but durability has clearly not been an issue
Okay.
as
Yeah,
of
and,
late.
and my only comment on the Nola thing is that's what they paid him for. And so I didn't know. I wasn't sure about his like what Scooble's coming to that with. Because if he's a guy that's really, really good but gets hurt a lot, that he's not going to get that many years. But I could see him getting 8. I was going to say something else about Schwarber. Oh, um, and I think you know I think this is something that the Phillies I think have to consider, and this is why I'm more comfortable letting him go. Is that at some point Harper's going to have to move off first base, and I think he's a pretty good first baseman, and he keeps himself in shape. He's getting old, and he's going to be here till he's probably 40. He's going to have to DH at some point, and you sign Schwarber for 4 or 5 years. That again handicaps you there, and you're going to run out of 36 or 37-year-old Bryce Harper to play first base, which I just don't think is a good. I generally don't think is a great idea. And time will tell. See how these people go. I just my long-winded answer say I think that some people got to go, and I think Schwarber is going to be the most expensive one and the easiest one to go. And I think he'll fit in. I think and you can give me death stares with this. If the free agency works out that Alonso leaves and Kyle Schwarber is not signed, I think he may as well be wearing a Mets jersey because there's no way because that he's not a first baseman, but that replaces that level of production at
You have
least.
to get 40 home runs somewhere, whether that's
So
Pete Alonso or
so that's
it's
what I mean.
somebody.
I think if Alonso goes first, I think I I'm putting a ton of money on Schwarber signing with the Mets, and so we were saying with Skubal, if somebody's that good, you find a place for him. I don't know what other fits he's got because he's a DH. I mean, the Braves are losing Ozuna. They're not paying Kyle Schwarber $40 million a year.
I
Uh,
think the Cubs, if Tucker leaves, you push Seiya
The
to
Cubs are
right.
one. I've heard the Red Sox want to reunite with him a lot if they can't get a first baseman this year because I know they're linked to Alonso
Yeah.
if
yeah,
he
but he can't play.
opts out,
He
but
so he can't play
he
first.
can't.
So
But
they move.
again,
So
like it moves back to that production thing. How are they going to get the production? And they're in a
yeah, they
similar
could just
spot with Bregman possibly leaving.
yeah.
Could they replace? Could they just plug someone at third and go get Schwarber to DH?
Yeah, they can get an average first or third
And
baseman
again,
and then just have him DH in.
they've had Schwarber before, so it's Schwarber knows what it's like to play in Boston as well.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I think I'll be curious if he overplays his hand here a little bit. I don't know how many teams are really a fit that are going to be willing to pay him that kind of money. That I do think objectively he's earned that money. I don't think it should come from the Phillies.
Yeah.
And so I think the field is narrow for him for teams that are both willing to pay that money because that field is narrow no matter who it is. If any player thinks they're getting over $20 million, that cuts. If you assume that every player has the ability to sign with any of the 30 teams, if you want over 15 or $20 million, that cuts out half the teams right there. Now you want to go to $40 million and you're a DH. I think he's probably got
Five.
four or five teams, maybe. If you do, yeah, Mets, and we'll include the Phillies just because I think they're going to give it a shot. Mets, Phillies, Cubs, Red Sox.
Mystery team. Like the Giant. I
Yeah,
could, yeah,
Like
Giants.
the
Like
maybe
Giants
the
are,
Giants.
they haven't been scared to at least attempt to throw out
That's
money.
true. That's true. Who's DH for Texas?
Uh,
Jock, but he's a free agent.
So I don't know. Texas has want to throw around money a little bit. Maybe he goes and
yeah,
plays with the Rangers.
yeah.
So I don't. I just I'm he's an interesting case to me. Because I think I would agree that he's probably the best bat. He's certainly the best power bat. Just I don't know how much of a market he's got for what he's inevitably going to want.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. Before we wrap things up, I do want to touch a little bit on some last minute NLCS, ALCS playoff preview. So the 4 teams left in the field are going to be the Toronto Blue Jays, the Seattle Mariners, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. So what I want to do, I just want to go rapid fire, gun to head. Who's your pick for each matchup? And we'll just play up. There's only three matchups to go. So we'll just do rapid fire, fill out the rest of your playoff bracket. So between the Seattle Mariners and the Toronto Blue Jays, the Blue Jays played really, really good. And I will admit I was not a big believer in them prior to the series. and I still have reservations about their playoff rotation because they seemingly throw out bullpen games as their fourth starter, which to me that's not a championship formula. But that said, that the bats are hot, their best player's hot. They have the other three starters in their rotation. Savage is a dog. Bieber's been good. Forgetting who is their game one guy.
Gosman.
Gosman.
Gosman. He's good enough to throw out in a playoff rotation. So I can't pick against them right now. As much as I still do like the Mariners, they fought off a very talented and pesky Tigers team, but in October it's all about who is swinging the stick the best and who's throwing lights out. And the Blue Jays haven't been lights out on the pitching side, but the bats are as hot as any team in the field right now. So I'm going to take the Blue Jays over the Seattle Mariners, probably in 5 games, 6 games maybe. I really do like the Mariners, and they're a talented team, but they did not show enough. It took them 15 innings to send them to the ALCS, and that was like the Tigers are a good baseball team. They're, like I said, very pesky, very like they can sneak out some wins. The Tigers were never a championship roster.
Yeah.
So the fact that it took them that long to fend them off is not
And
bode well.
not only that, but they had another extra inning game against the Mariners too, and they had another extra inning game against the Tigers rather in game one.
Right.
So
Like
they
they
had, yeah.
pushed them to the absolute wire, and that's going to show. Those innings add up. I think they don't they play tonight. They're playing right
They're
now.
playing right now. I don't know if you want me to say it, but Springer hit a leadoff home run for the Jays. I believe they're currently still leading 1-0.
Yeah, so there you go. I just the Blue Jays bats right now. They're too good for me to pick against. On the NL side, I already alluded to this earlier in the episode. I think the Dodgers are going to beat the crap out of the Brewers. The Brewers are not. They're reliant on too many feel good stories. Like I'm not trusting Andrew Vaughn to go hit a home run off of Shohei Ohtani. I'm not doing that. Sure, like there's a lot to like about them. Especially going forward in the future with Chorio and Mizurowski and all the young arms they have and all the young players they have, Durbin and South Frelick, stuff like that. I don't think that those guys are experienced enough, and I don't think they have what it takes to go into a Dodger Stadium that is going to be ready to start going back to back. And I think the Shohei Ohtani is something to prove after that dismal division series. So I would take the Dodgers in 5 comfortably. They might even sweep them. I wouldn't be surprised. The Dodgers have a very good playoff rotation. They can throw out Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Ohtani, Blake Snell, and Yamamoto. That's 4 aces. So, and then in the World Series, presuming a Blue Jays Dodgers World Series, I don't know, and that's really cool because I think that series could go either way. It's very hard to go back to back, as anyone in sports will tell you, and I really think that the Blue Jays are a team that can just keep riding that hot wave. And those like that's been a core that we've been saying for a long time. I remember back when me and Andrew would do the playoff that podcast in my basement when we were like 15 or whatever. And that was like the beginning of that Blue Jays core with Bichette and Vladdy. And
We watched those guys play in Trenton when they played against the Double-A affiliate for
The Yankees.
the Yankees. They played in Trenton. We saw them come up through there, and for years they were the Orioles for a while. They had all these guys. It was like, within the next couple of years when these guys come up, and Kevin Biggio didn't work out as well, but there were some other, like, you had all these guys that were just, it was when they're here, this is the Blue Jays time, and now they're all ready to go.
So I if I had to pick a team, I will say Blue Jays in 6. And I would not be surprised at all if the Dodgers steamroll them because that's just what they do. But it really does feel like a special year for the Toronto Blue Jays in a lot of ways, capturing the division title. Obviously, what they did in the division series, I think, was the most encouraging from all four teams that are still left. So I'm gonna go Blue Jays over Dodgers in six.
I'll go next, Chris. You can finish off.
Got you.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Toronto in the ALCS. I buy the Magic. We'll see if I'm wrong. Um, their their defeat of the Yankees reminds me a little bit of um, the Phillies taking down the Braves in 2022 in the division series. Definitely were not favored coming in. Then just kind of took it to, maybe not definitely favored. It was. I don't think anybody predicted they were going to steamroll as much as they did, and so to to go in and take it to your division rival, I think matters in the postseason. I think they're going to roll with that a little bit. I've Toronto in six in the National League. I'm going to take Milwaukee because, and this is part of my recency bias that I absolutely hate the Dodgers. Um, yeah, I think the pitching is stellar. Um, just the bats looked really bad, and I remember a couple of times Mookie and Freddie getting asked about Harper and company playing like crap, and they said they remembered that happening. I think it was 23 when those two guys hanged in the postseason and it cost the Dodgers big time. And it looks that they look to be somewhat on their way to that again this year. Uh, and Milwaukee's pitching is no joke either. It's not as good as the Dodgers, but it's not exactly anything to sniff at either. Um, and Dodger Stadium again is no joke. Milwaukee does have the home field advantage, so four will be played in Milwaukee. I don't know. I take Milwaukee in seven.
What you got in the World Series?
Toronto in five. I think the Brewers are going to hit a wall there, especially if the Blue Jays can hand it to the Mariners again. If that series goes as well as the divisional series did, and I don't really know if it will because it's hard to have a better series than than the Blue Jays did. But if it does, yeah, Toronto in five.
I'll keep mine short and sweet. You guys hit on a lot of points, but Toronto over Seattle. Toronto's probably going to win. I'm going to give it 6 games. I'm being generous. I would say 5, just because Toronto's offense is just so relentless against pitching, and Seattle's pitching already went through hell and back in 2 extra inning games in a 5-game series. Well, my bad, Seattle's pitching did in that series against Detroit. So I'll say Toronto in 6 over Seattle. I like where they are as a team. Again, it seems like almost you could call it a team of destiny right now with how they're
Yep.
playing.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
They get the title right now.
I'd love to say Milwaukee over the Dodgers, but I'm not convinced with the depth of Milwaukee's starting pitching in a long series against the Dodgers. Because I mean, you have Freddie Peralta, you have Mizorowski. Uh, who else is really going to come in and start those games for them? You're not going to start Jose Quintana. I mean, well, you might have to,
You
and
probably
that
Yeah,
I
will.
don't
he might be a game
I
four
don't
guy.
think that bodes well for them. So I'll go Dodgers over Brewers in 5. Uh, the World Series, the two teams I do not want to see in the World Series, Dodgers and Blue Jays. Uh, as good as the Blue Jays are, I think there's a been there, done that factor for this Dodgers team. And I think with the veterans, as much as I don't like the Dodgers, I it's gonna pain both of you to say this. I like Freddie Freeman a lot. They have these settling guys, and they're like Freddie, like Mookie, that have been there around the block many years. And I think the Dodgers end up taking it against the Jays in 6.
Okay.
One last point I do want to ask because I did not touch on this, but this is a real concern, at least for me. The Dodgers bullpen is not deep, and you
It's not
saw that.
sustainable with what they're doing
It's
with Roki.
that the Roki is the unquestioned closer who's
Yep.
talented. Don't get me wrong, and I don't think he's going to be a problem. But there,
I
it
hate
goes
that guy.
him, it
Hate
goes
that guy.
him, goes Emmett Sheehan, who is another converted starter, and it's Vesia,
Yeah.
who was not great either. And after that, then you start looking at Blake Trinan, who was abysmal. Tanner Scott got left off the roster for injury. Um, Kershaw, don't get me started on Clayton Kershaw. He shouldn't even touch a mound. He should just get a like double bubble bucket and just sit in the dugout, and because he shouldn't be getting any playing time. Um,
I just
but
give it to the Dodgers just because I think their team as a whole, separate from their bullpen, is good enough to leave the bullpen not talked about and go run the table with the offense or the starting pitching that they have. So that's my main thing behind them. I don't think it's the longer the series go for the Dodgers, especially with that bullpen, it's not sustainable throwing Roki out there for multiple innings, everything like that, every day, every other day to win those 7 game series.
I see, but I think if Milwaukee gets, and this is dependent on Milwaukee getting a little bit lucky, but come game 3, 4, and 5, when the Dodgers do eventually have to start getting into that bullpen a little bit more, if you got Blake Trinan coming in with like I forget the exact order for Milwaukee, but we'll say you got if you Churio, Yelich, and possibly Contreras sitting at that inning, you can, and it's a close game. You cannot feel good about that for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And you lose a game in like the eighth or ninth inning in the playoffs, that carries over the next day, anytime, and especially if that happens to be one of the games in Dodger Stadium, and Milwaukee can win at least one at home. They're coming back to Milwaukee, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. I'll play devil's advocate, and also because I'm pissed off about the Dodgers right now. Um, my brain says that the Dodgers are probably going to win, but part of me wants to just say screw them, and they get bent and go home.
I can't blame you. I mean, if I it was different for me last year because I mean they were playing the Yankees, so like what am I gonna do? Like I'm not rooting for the Yankees over the Dodgers, but um I can understand wanting a team to suffer after um they knock you out. I'm gonna be a Marlins hater for the rest of my life. So annoying. It's so annoying that and before I'm not gonna I'll spare you guys another rant, but it's just unbelievable. Um that all just that entire series was unbelievable.
A
So I
billion dollars worth of baseball teams is not making it to a championship series. Three of the top four teams in payroll
I can't
are
believe it. I can't believe it. Lost to a Marlins team that was better than expected, but
they're
you
pesky. They're pesky, man. They every year.
yeah, they are. And I was so determined that all the Brewers had to do was win because I thought the Brewers were gonna suck. And it's a cruel irony that the Brewers have not stopped winning ever since that day. And here we are drinking Modelo's and
They're
strawberry
four wins
daiquiris.
away from a pennant.
Yeah. What a shit year. Can't wait for pitchers and catchers, man. This
You
Can't
can't.
wait.
I'm done. I don't even want to pay attention to baseball until like April
well,
anymore.
I think I've had 2 more weeks to process this, so I'm ready to see what they got in store for me next year because that's the only thing we can do. And keep in mind, dude, after next season, this lockout, like
That's true. Yeah, there's
we're
not
probably not gonna have baseball in 2027. Like
Yeah,
most definitely not. Yeah.
odds are we're definitely not.
gonna have to have a substitute for the fantasy league or something. We'll have like MLB the show or something.
Maybe they'll they could bring back that women's league about the movie that they did when all the guys got drafted in like the 40s.
You have like Francisco Lindor's wife back.
Or they could do the celebrity softball thing that they do at the All-Star weekends. Just have famous people
Yeah,
play crappy
for
baseball at stadiums.
162. Have
Well, maybe not 162, but like 2 games a
banana
week.
ball. Get banana ball. 30
So
teams.
you know that those people are waiting for that year. That those I say those organizations. It's the one guy. It's the one company that owns all these teams. He might be worth as much money as Elon Musk after that year because nobody's going to be paying attention to regular baseball. Everybody's going to turn on to whatever TV channels now are carrying.
Yeah, they just got a TV deal, I think,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. They're on
Can't be a
Disney Plus.
coincidence. That's
No,
not a
no, no, no,
Yeah.
no.
coincidence.
Disney Plus and Disney Plus is paying a ton of money, and they're also on They're on some other cable networks too. It's weird networks that are paying for it, but
Yeah,
nevertheless, it's going to be
getting paid.
broadcasted
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah.
So they're going to make a lot of money, and baseball's going to lose out a ton. Where's the All-Star game supposed to be in 27? I bet those people are like, I feel bad for whatever city's hosting
I
that
think
because
it's
they're going to
Wrigley.
go,
I think it's supposed to be Wrigley
oh,
because
geez, wow.
yeah, it just got announced last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not happening.
It's rough. Lose Kyle Tucker, and lose the All Star game. Get knocked out by
Yep.
your division rival. They fly the L in their post game. Did you see that picture?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
I would have been
was
pissed. I would have been really
that's
angry.
bad. That's really bad. That's like the Marlins holding up like an OMG sign or something.
You know what that means? That means somebody that means I don't know when the Cubs first play the Brewers. Somebody's getting thrown at in the first game next year. If whoever's starting was is on the team
Yeah.
right now, they're getting thrown at.
You got to. That is a tough. It's been a while. Like I mean, granted the whole Vladdy interview with Big Poppy that's not so. He's probably gonna get something coming to him too. But
Oh yeah,
That's just the whole. I don't think that's any disrespect. That's just those personalities and Big Poppy and Velati just having a fun time. Like I don't take any offense to it.
you know what I think it was?
It's
It was them screwing with Jeter and Rodriguez
that
more
that's
than
also
the
more of what it is.
Yankees.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what it is. But also, I mean, I don't really care what
yeah,
I
what are you gonna
could
do?
care
Like
less of.
he had a
Oh well,
great
he
series.
he owned us the series. Oh no, I'm gonna retaliate for him owning us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
breaking out a
That's not
flag
what
is
you
a whole
do.
different thing.
Yeah, bringing out a flag like they planned to have that flag
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, they had someone had
Yeah.
to go out
Someone
there.
had that flag in the locker room before game 5, ready to pounce.
Man. No, it's gonna. All right. I'm gonna have to circle that matchup on my calendar because that's gonna be pretty good.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that's probably gonna do it for this episode. Long episode. I think we ended up we started a little bit earlier than 7:30, so we're gonna go right to the 90-minute mark. But as always, it was a pleasure having you on, Chris. Um,
Pleasure. It's a pleasure.
I don't know. We'll probably have a midweek or mid-series update at some point. We'll try to keep these episodes consistent for you guys even throughout the off season. I have some fun ideas we can do down here down south that our teams aren't playing. We can still work in some fun ones while the breeze is going and the waves are crashing down here. But
I got a
yeah,
trip to the Bahamas in a few weeks. I can do a live broadcast actually from the beach, and we can talk about how crappy all of our teams are.
and that sounds good to me. I'll sneak in your suitcase. But with that said, this has been Chin Music, a baseball podcast. As always, I'm Andrew Menson, joined by Andrew Lucuski and Chris Talt, and we will see you guys in the next episode.